The massive alien ship appeared suddenly in Earth's orbit, its hull gleaming under the sun. At 12 kilometers long, it dwarfed anything humans had ever built. Admiral James Walker stood straight-backed on the bridge of the ESA Defender, Earth's flagship, at a mere 400 meters in length. His weathered face showed no emotion as the alien vessel's shadow fell across his ship. "They're hailing us, Admiral," reported Lieutenant Smith, her fingers dancing across the communication panel. On screen, Walker ordered, adjusting his uniform. This was humanity's first contact with alien life. Everything had to be perfect. The screen flickered to life, revealing a tall, elegant alien with silvery skin. Behind it stood others of its kind, all wearing ornate robes decorated with symbols of rank and authority. This was the Galactic Council's diplomatic delegation, sent to evaluate Earth's readiness to join their interstellar community. "Greetings, humans," the lead alien spoke through their translator. "I am High Ambassador Rax of the Galactic Council. We have been monitoring your civilization's progress with great interest." Walker bowed slightly. "Welcome to Earth space, Ambassador. I am Admiral James Walker of the Earth Fleet Service." The alien delegation's eyes moved past Walker, studying the bridge of the Defender. Several of them exchanged glances, and Walker caught the unmistakable sound of suppressed laughter. "This," Ambassador Rax paused, mandibles twitching. "This is your flagship." "Yes, Ambassador. The Defender represents the pinnacle of human engineering and—" A burst of laughter interrupted him. One of the junior delegates couldn't contain themselves anymore. "It's adorable. Like a child's toy." Walker's jaw tightened, but his expression remained neutral. 20 years of military service had taught him patience. Let them laugh. Let them underestimate. "Perhaps," Ambassador Rax said, trying to maintain diplomacy despite his obvious amusement, "we should inspect your fleet. Surely you have larger vessels." Over the next 3 hours, the alien delegation toured Earth's orbital defense grid. With each ship they visited, their barely concealed mirth grew. The humans' largest vessel was barely a fifth the size of standard council ships. Their weapons seemed primitive, their engines basic. How had such a species even managed spaceflight? The tour ended in the council ship's massive conference room. Walker sat alone at one end of a table clearly designed for much larger beings, feeling like a child at the adults' table during a holiday dinner. "Admiral Walker," Ambassador Rax began, "while we appreciate Earth's enthusiasm for joining the galactic community, we have concerns." He gestured to a holographic display showing the human fleet. "Your vessels are simply too small to be taken seriously. The smallest council member species operates ships at least 3 kilometers in length. Yours would be lost in our space docks." "Size isn't everything, Ambassador," Walker replied calmly. "Our ships are perfectly suited to our needs." Another burst of laughter from the delegation. "Suited to your needs? Admiral, you have no idea what lurks in the void. Pirates, raiders, hostile species, all operating ships that could swallow your entire fleet without noticing. How do you expect to defend yourselves?" Walker stood up slowly. "We have our ways, Ambassador. Humanity has always been resourceful. Resourcefulness alone will not save you from being crushed like insects," Rax said, shaking his head. "The Council's decision is final. Earth may continue as a protectorate species, but full membership is denied until you can field a proper fleet of proper size." As Walker's shuttle returned him to the Defender, he watched the massive council ship prepare for departure. His communicator buzzed, a message from Earth Command. "They bought it, sir," the text read. Hook, line, and sinker. Walker allowed himself a small smile. Let them think humanity's ships were primitive. Let them laugh at the size. They hadn't noticed the advanced alloys in the hull, the impossibly efficient engines, or the cutting-edge weapon systems carefully disguised as basic mass drivers. They hadn't asked why humans, with their proven ability to build large structures, chose to make small ships instead. They would learn, eventually. But for now, humanity would remain underestimated, exactly as planned. Send word to all ships, Walker commanded. Operation Small Wonder is in effect. Let's show the galaxy what these toys can do. 3 months after the Council's visit, Admiral Walker stood in Earth's primary shipyard, watching workers swarm over a new vessel. At just 300 meters long, it was even smaller than the Defender. But size wasn't everything. Status report. He called out to the chief engineer, Tom Miller, who was climbing down from the ship's hull. Right on schedule, Admiral, Miller replied, wiping grease from his hands. The new stealth systems are fully integrated. When this baby's running silent, even their best sensors won't pick it up. Walker nodded, satisfaction evident in his eyes. Earth had been building ships for decades before first contact. Not massive ships like the Council races preferred, but small, agile vessels packed with technologies that would make those alien diplomats choke on their laughter. His tablet buzzed with an urgent message. Captain Robert Stone, one of his best officers, was calling from the outer patrol route. Admiral, Stone's face appeared on the screen, looking concerned. We've detected unusual activity in the Protean sector. 3 merchant ships have vanished in the past week. Pirates, Walker said grimly. They'd expected this. The Council's dismissal of Earth's fleet had painted a target on human shipping lanes. Any response from the Council patrol? Stone's expression darkened. They said our sector is low priority, since we're just a protectorate. Their nearest battleship is 2 weeks away. Of course it is. Walker turned to look at the new ship being constructed. How's the Hawk performing? Like a dream, sir. These new engines, the pirates won't know what hit them. Walker smiled. The Hawk was the first of Earth's new response vessels. While the Council built massive ships that took minutes to change course, humans had focused on speed and maneuverability. The Hawk could pull turns that would tear those giant alien ships apart. Begin Operation Small Wonder, Phase 1. Walker ordered. Deploy the Hawk and 2 support vessels. Make it look routine, just a standard patrol. Yes, sir. Stone out. Walker spent the next few hours in the shipyard's command center, reviewing construction reports. 20 new vessels were under construction, each smaller and more advanced than the last. The aliens thought Earth was primitive because humans hadn't built city-sized ships. They never stopped to ask why. His tablet buzzed again. This time, it was an intelligence report from Earth's covered observation posts. A massive pirate fleet was gathering just outside Council space. The report included images of their ships, huge, ungainly vessels bristling with weapons. Perfect, Walker muttered. Everything was falling into place. The doors slid open, and Commander Alex Reed entered with more reports. Sir, the Council just sent another message. They're concerned about our continued production of undersized vessels. Walker laughed. Did they recommend we build proper ships again? Yes, sir. They included blueprints for what they consider a minimum acceptable warship. It's 6 kilometers long. 6 kilometers, Walker shook his head. Do you know how many of our ships we could build with those resources? How many crews we could train? Reed nodded. Their entire warfare doctrine is based on size and power. They've never considered that smaller might be better. And they won't, Walker said, not until it's too late. Has Captain Stone reported in? Yes, sir. The Hawk is in position. They've detected the pirate scout ships exactly where we predicted. Walker stood and walked to the window, watching as another small ship took shape in the construction bay. Soon, the pirates would make their move. They'd see Earth's tiny ships and think they'd found easy prey. They'd learn what humanity's toys could really do. Send word to all shipyards, he ordered. Accelerate production. I want every new ship ready within the month. He paused, looking at the stars visible through the station's dome. The storm is coming, Commander, and we'll be ready when it hits. Somewhere out there, pirates were plotting. The Council was laughing, and humanity's enemies were feeling confident. Let them. Sometimes, the smallest predators were the most dangerous. Captain Robert Stone sat motionless in his command chair aboard the Hawk as 3 massive pirate ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Each enemy vessel was over 2 kilometers long, covered in weapons that could blast a small moon apart. They were heading straight for the colony transport Stone's group was protecting. "All hands to battle stations," Stone ordered calmly. Quiet running protocols in effect. The Hawk and its 2 sister ships, Eagle and Falcon, were nearly invisible against the backdrop of space. Their new stealth systems made them look like nothing more than space debris on enemy scanners. "Sir," his sensor officer reported, "they're hailing the transport." "Put it through to speakers." A rough voice filled the bridge. "Human transport vessel, this is Captain Drac of the Free Stars Brotherhood. Your pathetic escort ships seem to be missing. Surrender your cargo, and we might let you live." Stone allowed himself a small smile. The pirates couldn't see the 3 human warships floating nearby, each barely larger than their own cargo shuttles. The transport captain's voice was steady as she replied, "Exactly as planned. Please, we're just colonists. We can't fight back." "Then prepare to be boarded." Drac laughed. "Try not to damage anything valuable while you're surrendering." Stone pressed a button on his chair. "All ships, execute attack pattern Delta. Let's show them what these pathetic escorts can do." The Hawk's engines came to life, but not with the usual blue flame of standard drives. Instead, they glowed a deep red, the sign of Earth's new gravity pulse technology. The ship accelerated from standstill to attack speed in less than 2 seconds. "By the stars," a pirate voice shouted over the open channel. "Where did they come from?" The Hawk shot past the lead pirate ship, moving so fast the larger vessel's weapons couldn't track it. Eagle and Falcon emerged from stealth at different angles, creating a 3-dimensional attack pattern that the massive enemy ships couldn't handle. "Impossible," Drac screamed. "Nothing that small can move that fast." Stone's ships proved him wrong. The Hawk spun on its axis at speeds that would have torn a larger ship apart, its main gun firing precise shots at the lead pirate's engine housing. Eagle and Falcon did the same, their coordinated attack overwhelming the pirates' targeting systems. "Their weapons are powering up," Stone's tactical officer reported. "But they're too slow. They can't track us at this speed." The pirates tried to fight back, filling space with energy beams and projectiles. But it was like trying to swat flies with a tree trunk. The human ships darted between the shots, their small size and incredible speed making them nearly impossible to hit. "Hull breach detected on the lead pirate ship," the sensor officer called out. "Their power core is destabilizing." Stone keyed the general channel. "Pirate vessels, this is Captain Stone of the Earth Fleet. Your lead ship is critical. Suggest you power down before we have to disable you all." "This isn't possible." Drac's voice was shaking now. "You're flying suicide boats. No crew could survive those maneuvers." "Wrong again," Stone replied. "We just built better ships. Last chance to surrender." The 2 undamaged pirate ships were already turning away, their huge engines straining to build up escape velocity. The lead ship, venting atmosphere from multiple breaches, had no choice but to power down. "Sir," his communications officer said, "the transport is signaling. They're asking if we're okay after those crazy maneuvers." Stone laughed. "Tell them we're fine. Our inertial dampeners can handle far more than that." He looked at the tactical display, watching the pirate ships retreat. "Send word to Admiral Walker. Tell him Phase 1 was a complete success." As Stone wrote his report later that day, he couldn't help but smile. The pirates had expected easy prey and found themselves outmatched by ships they could barely see. Soon, tales would spread through the underworld about the human ships that moved like lightning and struck like thunder. Let them talk. Let them wonder. The real show hadn't even started yet. Admiral Walker stood in the Council's emergency meeting chamber, watching the massive holographic display with carefully hidden amusement. The images showed a fleet of pirate vessels attacking cargo ships along the Arcturus trade route, the Council's most important commercial pathway. 15 merchant ships lost in 2 days. Ambassador Rax was shouting, "Where are our battleships?" The Council's military commander, General Voss, looked uncomfortable. "The pirates are using hit-and-run tactics. Our ships are too large to respond quickly enough. By the time we arrive, they're gone." Walker cleared his throat softly. All eyes turned to him, the human they'd mostly ignored during the meeting. "Earth's ships could help," he said simply. Laughter erupted around the chamber, though noticeably less confident than 3 months ago. "Your tiny vessels," General Voss scoffed. "These pirates are using capital ships, real warships, like the ones that attacked our colony transport last month." Walker asked innocently. "The ones our tiny ships defeated." Silence fell across the chamber. The reports of that battle had spread, though many dismissed them as exaggeration. Another alarm blared. The hologram showed 5 more merchant ships under attack. "The pirates are getting bolder," Rax said. "They're striking closer to core worlds now." Walker stepped forward. "Earth can have ships on station within 6 hours. No cost to the Council. Consider it a gesture of goodwill from a protectorate species." The Council members exchanged glances. Their own nearest battle group was 2 days away. "Very well," General Voss said grudgingly. "But when your ships are destroyed, don't expect." "They're already on their way," Walker interrupted, checking his tablet. Captain Stone's battle group launched the moment the first distress call came in. The Council chamber erupted in confusion. Walker held up his hand for silence. "Watch," he said, pointing to the hologram. The display showed 3 pirate capital ships attacking a convoy. Suddenly, small signals appeared from nowhere, human ships dropping out of stealth. The Council members leaned forward, many seeing Earth's new vessels in action for the first time. "Impossible," General Voss whispered as the human ships moved with impossible speed and precision. The Hawk led the attack, diving between 2 pirate ships that tried to catch it in a crossfire. Their shots passed through empty space as the human vessel pulled a turn that should have torn it apart. Eagle and Falcon struck from different angles, their advanced weapons slicing through the pirates' shields like they weren't even there. "Such speed," one Council member gasped. "Such coordination." Within 10 minutes, the pirate ships were either disabled or retreating. Not a single merchant vessel had been lost. "How?" General Voss demanded. "How can ships so small move like that? Where are your inertial dampeners? Your crew should be paced." Walker smiled. "We built better ships, General. While you focused on size, we focused on efficiency. Our dampeners are miniaturized but twice as effective. Our engines use new principles your scientists dismissed as impossible." "Why didn't you tell us?" Ambassador Rax asked. "You didn't ask," Walker replied. "You saw our small ships and stopped thinking. You never wondered why a species capable of building space stations chose to build tiny warships instead." Another alarm sounded. More pirates were attacking, this time near the Council's capital world. "We have 15 more ship groups ready to deploy," Walker said calmly. "Just say the word." The Council members looked at each other, pride warred with necessity on their faces. "Deploy them," General Voss ordered finally. "Deploy them all." As Walker sent the orders, he allowed himself a small smile. The Council was finally learning what humanity had known all along. That size meant nothing without the brains to use it properly. "All ships, execute Operation Small Wonder, Phase 3. He transmitted. "Show them what humanity can really do." The Council's main engineering bay was packed with aliens from 20 different species. They all stood around the opened hull of the Hawk, which had been brought in for their inspection after its successful defense of the trade routes. Chief Engineer Tom Miller stood proudly next to his ship, watching their expressions change from confusion to amazement as they studied the human technology. "This can't be right," one alien engineer said, scanning the ship's power core. "A reactor this small couldn't possibly generate enough energy to." "But it does," Miller interrupted. We found a way to make fusion reactors 1/10 the size with twice the output. Turns out the problem wasn't making them bigger, it was making them smarter. Admiral Walker stood at the back of the room with Ambassador Rax, watching the scene unfold. Why didn't you tell us about any of this? Rax asked quietly. Would you have believed us? Walker replied. Your people were too busy laughing at our ship sizes to ask about what was inside them. Another engineer was examining the Hawk's engine system. These gravity pulse drives. We thought they were impossible at this scale. Miller walked over to the engine display. That's because everyone tried to build them too big. The energy requirements grow exponentially with size. But make them small enough. He gestured to the compact drive system. And suddenly they become not just possible, but incredibly efficient. The room buzzed with excitement as more discoveries were made. The inertial dampeners that let human ships pull impossible maneuvers. The stealth systems that bent light and sensor readings around the hull. The miniaturized weapons that packed the punch of much larger guns. All this time, General Voss said, entering the bay, we thought bigger meant better. We kept building larger ships because that's what we'd always done. Walker nodded, while humanity looked at the problem differently. Why build a massive ship that takes minutes to turn when you can build a small one that turns instantly? Why make huge guns that take ages to aim when you can make small ones that hit every time? An alien scientist was studying the ship's computer systems. Their targeting computers are integrated into every system. The whole ship thinks as one unit. Had to, Miller explained. At the speeds we move, human reaction time isn't fast enough. The ship helps fly itself, predicts enemy movements, adjusts course and power distribution automatically. Ambassador Rax turned to Walker. This changes everything. The entire balance of power in the galaxy remains exactly the same. Walker finished firmly. Earth doesn't want power. We want partnership. That's why we're sharing this technology now. The alien engineers were already taking notes, making drawings, asking questions. Humanity's innovations would spread through the galaxy, improving ships of all sizes. Though I notice, Walker added with a slight smile, that none of you are laughing at our tiny ships anymore. General Voss stepped forward. The Council has voted. Earth is to be granted full membership immediately, with a special advisory role in military and technological matters. Walker shook his head. We don't need special status, just equal partnership and respect. As the engineers continued their excited examination of the Hawk, Miller pulled up a hologram of Earth's newest ship design. The aliens gathered around, eyes wide. If you like this one, Miller said, grinning, wait until you see what we're building next. Same size, twice the capabilities. The message was clear. Humanity had proven that innovation meant more than size, that efficiency trumped brute force, and that sometimes the smallest ships could make the biggest difference. Perhaps, Ambassador Rax said thoughtfully, it's time the Council learned to think smaller. Walker smiled. Operation Small Wonder had worked perfectly. Earth had earned its place among the stars not through size or strength, but through human ingenuity. And this was just the beginning. Red alert signals flashed throughout the Council space station. Admiral Walker ran into the command center, where General Voss was staring at a tactical display with horror on his face. They came from nowhere, Voss said, his voice shaking. An unknown species. Their ships, they're enormous. The display showed massive vessels entering Council space. Each one was 20 kilometers long, nearly twice the size of the largest Council ships. 3 border worlds had already gone dark. Our battleships can't get close, Voss continued. Their weapons range is too great. Even our newest ships, built with your technology, are being destroyed before they can reach firing range. Walker studied the display carefully. How many ships do they have? 30 capital ships, each with support vessels. They're heading for major population centers. Voss looked at Walker. We need Earth's help. Walker nodded. Captain Stone is already leading our response fleet, but we'll need your ships too, all of them. What good will they do? These invaders are even bigger than. Size isn't everything, Walker interrupted. Remember, we'll show you how to beat them, but you have to trust us completely. The council chamber quickly filled with leaders from every member species. Walker stood before them, outlining his plan. Your large ships will be the anvil, he explained. Our small ships will be the hammer. Together, we'll crush them. The combined fleet assembled quickly. Council battleships formed a defensive line while Earth's vessels, now numbering over 100, gathered in small groups behind them. Captain Stone sat in the Hawk's command chair, leading the largest group of human ships. Remember your training, he transmitted to all ships, human and alien alike. Follow the plan exactly. Timing is everything. The enemy fleet appeared out of faster than light travel. Their ships were terrible to behold. Black vessels that seemed to swallow light itself. Their first shots streaked across space toward the council ships. Now, Stone ordered. The human vessels shot forward in perfect formation. They looked tiny compared to the massive enemy ships, like insects attacking dragons. But these insects had teeth. They're not targeting us. An enemy commander transmitted their first communication. Their ships are too small to be a threat. Focus fire on the large council vessels. That was their first mistake. The human ships split into their attack groups. Stone led the Hawks group straight through the enemy formation, moving so fast the giant ships couldn't track them. Other groups did the same, creating a complex three-dimensional attack pattern. Their shields are weakest at the power junction points, Stone transmitted. Hit them there. Earth's ships struck with surgical precision. Their small advanced weapons found weak points that larger ships could never target. The enemy vessels began to turn, trying to swat the human ships, but they were too slow. Now council fleet, Walker ordered. Advance to fixed positions. The council battleships moved forward in formation. The enemy ships tried to target them, but the human vessels were causing too much chaos, disrupting their targeting systems. Impossible, the enemy commander transmitted. How can such tiny ships cause so much damage? The battle raged for hours. One by one, the massive enemy ships fell. Some were destroyed, others disabled. The combined fleet of small human ships and large council vessels proved unstoppable. Finally, the last enemy ship turned to retreat. Before it could escape, Captain Stone led a precision strike that disabled its engines. Enemy fleet neutralized, Stone reported. Council space is secured. In the council chamber, Walker watched the celebration begin. General Voss approached him, bowing deeply. We were wrong about everything, Voss admitted. Size means nothing without strategy. Power means nothing without precision. Walker smiled. The only true measure of a fleet, he said, is how well it protects its people. Everything else is just details. The victory was complete. Human ingenuity, combined with council strength, had saved the galaxy. And no one would ever laugh at Earth's tiny ships again. 1 year after the Great Battle, the council's main chamber looked very different. The massive room now had sections designed for beings of all sizes, including the smaller humans. Admiral Walker stood at the speaker's podium, looking out at the gathered representatives of every spacefaring species. Today marks a new chapter in galactic history, he began. The first graduating class of the Joint Fleet Academy is ready for service. The chamber's main display showed images of the new ships being launched. Some were large council vessels, others were small human designs, and many were something in between. A perfect blend of both approaches. Captain Stone, now an instructor at the academy, stood proudly with his students. Among them were aliens of all sizes, each trained in the new combat doctrine that combined human innovation with council strength. The old ways of thinking are gone, Walker continued. We no longer judge ships by their size or species by their appearance. We judge by actions, by innovation, by the ability to think differently. In the shipyards visible through the chamber's windows, vessels of all sizes were under construction. The largest council ships now carried squadrons of smaller craft, while human vessels had grown slightly larger to accommodate new joint species crews. Ambassador Rax stepped forward to speak. 1 year ago, we faced extinction, an enemy we couldn't defeat alone. But we weren't alone. He turned to Walker. The humans we once mocked saved us all. Not with size, not with power, but with intelligence and innovation. The chamber erupted in applause. General Voss, now the commander of the Joint Fleet, raised his hand for silence. The Walker Doctrine is now required study for every fleet officer, he announced. Its core principle is simple. True strength lies not in size, but in how wisely you use what you have. In orbit above them, the Hawk led a training exercise. New cadets watched in awe as the legendary ship demonstrated the maneuvers that had helped save the galaxy. Its hull bore fresh marks of honor, citations for the battles it had won, the lives it had saved. But perhaps, Walker continued, the greatest lesson we learned was about ourselves, about how quick we are to judge, to dismiss, to underestimate. Every species in this chamber has something unique to offer, something others might mock, until they see its true value. Chief Engineer Miller, who had been quietly revolutionizing shipbuilding across the galaxy, stood with his alien colleagues. Together, they had created technologies no one species could have developed alone. The enemy we faced was physically larger than any of our ships, Walker said. They thought size meant victory. Now they sit in our detention centers, learning the same lesson we all learned. Size is just a number. Innovation, cooperation, and wisdom. These are what truly matter. The chamber's display showed the new defense grid. Massive council ships patrolled alongside agile human vessels, while medium-sized hybrid ships filled other roles. Each had its place, its purpose, its strength. And so, Walker concluded, we move forward together. Not as large species or small species, not as powerful or weak, but as equals, each contributing our unique strengths to make the galaxy better for all. The applause was deafening. In the years that followed, the story would be told countless times, how humanity's tiny fleet had changed the galaxy forever, how being underestimated had led to the greatest innovation in space warfare history, how size had proven meaningless in the face of human ingenuity. As the ceremony ended, Walker stood with Stone and Miller, watching ships of all sizes dock at the station. They're not laughing anymore, Stone said with a smile. No, Walker agreed. Now they're learning. And so are we. Miller pointed to a new ship design on his tablet. Wait until they see what we're building next. Together. The three humans smiled, knowing that the galaxy would never be the same. The story of Earth's tiny fleet would be told for generations, a reminder that the greatest strength often comes in the smallest packages.